We turn now to the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. It entered its second week of testimony today, and we want to give a warning for our viewers. This story may contain accounts and descriptions, visual content, or actual alleged events that some people may find disturbing. So keep that in mind as we tell you that former Danity Kane member Dawn Richard returned to the witness stand today. She told the jury she witnessed Combs attack his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, on several occasions. She witnessed it, she said. The defense attorney for Combs suggested that Richard only agreed to testify against Combs because he allegedly ruined her music career by dismantling that music group. Ventura's best friend, Kerry Morgan, also took the witness stand, and she described two assaults she claims she witnessed. Morgan testified that she suggested Ventura leave Combs, but then Ventura answered she couldn't because Combs, quote, controlled everything, unquote. Combs faces 5 charges in total, and he's pleaded not guilty to all of them. So let's bring in ABC News chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky. He's live outside the courthouse in Manhattan, following this trial as he has been. So, Aaron, all eyes now on Cassie Ventura last week. So when she took the witness stand, what do we learn from today's testimony from these witnesses?
Prosecutors were trying to back her up, Terry, starting with Dawn Richard, who said that as a member of Diddy Dirty Money and before that Danity Kane on Making the Band, she was around Sean Combs a lot and saw on several occasions Combs attack Cassie. The first, she said, was with a frying pan. Cassie Ventura had been in the kitchen of his house making eggs. He took a swing at her. Then she curled up in the fetal position. He kicked her and dragged her off the stairs. On cross-examination, the defense tried to question whether her account of that alleged assault had actually changed on several occasions. And Dawn Richard told the jury that, well, it had evolved, but she's doing the best she can to remember it. She also said she witnessed Combs punch Cassie Ventura in the stomach at a dinner that was attended by a number of celebrities, including Usher and Neo.
Well, as you say, this really is about the credibility of the main accuser. Cassie. Dawn Richard has a separate lawsuit against Combs, alleging sexual assault herself. He denies all of that. But does it have any bearing on her credibility, on what happens in this case that she's suing the defendant?
The defense tried to make it an issue by suggesting that she's just looking for a payday, which is how the defense views a number of Combs's accusers, particularly the ones that have come to testify. But there are other witnesses here, Terry, who are not caught up in any of that. And Kerry Morgan is one of them. And the defense didn't even seem to be questioning her credibility after she said she witnessed Combs attack Cassie on 2 occasions, once in Los Angeles and once in Jamaica, where Kerry Morgan said that Combs had left Ventura with a big welt on her forehead and rendered her almost unconscious for 20 to 30 seconds. On cross-examination, the defense didn't even try to challenge her account, instead focused on times she witnessed Combs being loving with Cassie Ventura.
Okay, and Cassie Ventura's mother, I understand, is going to be taking the stand this week. What does she offer the jury? What does she offer in her testimony in this case?
I think 2 things, Terry. On one hand, she's a mom, and she's going to talk about her concern for her daughter, what she tried or didn't try to do, what her daughter may have said about why she couldn't get out of what even the defense concedes was an abusive relationship. But she also has the pictures, and there are images that the jury has already seen when Cassie Ventura went home to visit her mom in Connecticut, had her shirt lifted, and you could see the welts on her back from a beating that she said Combs had taken out on her. And so undoubtedly she's going to be asked about that moment and just affirm that Cassie Ventura was telling the truth about that alleged assault.
All right, no question that is going to be dramatic and disturbing. Aaron Katersky, thanks very much for being on this story. Appreciate it. Well, for more analysis, ABC News legal contributor and criminal defense attorney Shauna Lloyd joins us now. Shauna, good to see you. First, Dawn Richard and Cassie Ventura's former best friend. They both say that they witnessed Combs abusing Ventura. So that sounds like powerful testimony for the prosecution here. But what does a jury make of that, given what we just heard from Aaron, were the possible avenues of cross-examination?
Well, when we look at this, Terry, we're going to break them down. Let's talk about Dawn Richardson. Dawn Richards came on the stand. She testified to having seen these graphic and violent moments where Sean Combs is punching Cassie and attacking her with a frying pan. However, on cross-examination, we see that her story has changed basically from when she was interviewing with the United States prosecution, and her stories changed very differently. Things that she was saying on the stand were not reflected in any of the 8 other interviews that she conducted. So when a jury is looking at that, they still have to assess the credibility of each witness on the stand to make a determination as to how much credence they should give her testimony about the facts that she's recounting. So the defense bringing out those variations in her story that have happened are very significant, and the jury's going to scrutinize that. Now, when we look at Kerry's testimony was very straightforward. She didn't vary. She was very factual in her testimony. I think she comes across as very credible. She recounts these instances and how the violence was so much that she actually broke off a very long-term friendship with Cassie because of the violence that was inflicted upon her. Because let's remember that Sean Combs came into a room and hit her in the head with a hanger, and she said she had a concussion afterwards, and she said that was enough for her.
All right, so Kerry Morgan was on the witness stand, and she claimed that Combs, in her testimony, she said he assaulted her, paid her $30,000 after she threatened a lawsuit. So obviously, this is very strong evidence for the prosecution.
Absolutely, because they actually have this violence directed towards someone that's in Cassie's orbit. So again, she was witnessing and victim to it. And she said that she actually made a settlement with Cassie and that Cassie paid her this money, but that she knew that it had come from Sean Combs. It was to the tune of $30,000. She said she did sign an NDA in exchange for that money, so she would not talk about the incidents and what happened. But she did say that it affected her so much that it ended the relationship, and that's how she felt. She felt that strongly about that level of violence. But obviously, anytime we hear about witnesses accepting money in exchange for anything, it always speaks to credibility. But then again, the jury gets to look at them, they get to hear the stories for themselves, and they always make an assessment about the credibility of the witness when they're there on the stand. So that's really what the jury is looking at with each one of these witnesses separately.
Absolutely, they'll take it into account, but they're the ones, as you point out, who are looking at the witness themselves and can make their own judgment. Shauna Lloyd, thanks very much.